Hey guys, this is Graph back again. I'm here and I'm to show you a little more TA, and we're going to go through some Bitcoin analysis as well. Now, here's our Bitcoin graph. This is on the daily chart. I'm going to pop it in. I'm going to leave it in daily chart to draw our three main channels that we've been watching for months, really. And we'll use parallel channels. See, I'll get some parallel channels. Great. Now we're going to draw our bottom channel first. So our bottom channel is down here at the bottom. Okay, and you see these wicks from the candles. You can draw it around there. We're going to make it reasonably large to cover everything. Draw a line straight across here. Get our wicks. Nice and straight. And you can just pull it straight up like this. And we call that our bottom. Now that is 28.5 to 31. Everyone will have drawn these a little bit differently. As you know, I have many graphs, so they're all a little bit different. They don't have to be very accurate, just ballpark is great. And we'll draw one in the middle. So in the middle is the one we're playing with right now. So you see we've got wicks here, and here, and here, and here, and these wicks. So they all come into play. They're all just places where people have bought and sold coins previously, a lot, and they probably still have orders there now. So these lines are always very relevant, and those people who don't have orders there now will still decide to buy or sell when we get there, because that's what they do. So let's see, we go across there. That's 42. I'd like to include a little bit higher. We'll move it up in a second. Let's see, 39. We'll scroll it up a little bit higher. Remember, if you're drawing these in for the first time, they don't have to be very accurate. Just get used to them. Now I'll cover, so I've hit this wick as well, and this wick here, so that's good. And then I'm going to draw the top one, and then we'll do a little bit more analysis. So get another parallel channel. So parallel channels are good if you want to draw support and resistance that covers a larger area. So we're going to go from the top. Well, I'll skip the top. I don't expect much resistance from here because you can see there's only a little bit at the top. So we'll come down to the 61 area. We'll get that. And then we'll go across. Oops. And we'll come down a little. Let's see. That's 59. We can come down to the furthest peak. 58. Okay. Now, so I'm going to study these in the weekly graph, because when you're looking at Bitcoin, if you look at the rest of your alts, they move ferociously and they're far more volatile than Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin looks the most volatile, but they go up and down sometimes 10 times as much, sometimes 3 times as much as Bitcoin. So you can study those on shorter time frames if you're trying to trade or make some profit or find a good entry. But looking at Bitcoin, the weekly graph is more than enough. So now we're going to look at some trends. Let me see, actually, I'll draw some trends in from past price first, so you can see how we do them, and you will know what I'm doing when we get to present day. So you can also draw diagonal lines. So let's get a little trend line from here. And I'll draw from the bottom. You see this nice and flat trend line. So this is when price broke. When price broke, for a period of time at least, it normally follows a trend line. Straighten it up, and we'll try and touch all these corners. You see we have lots of candles in there, and then price was broke, it went straight up. But we can leave the line going up here. Here you go. Now, that's a trend. So once you break the trend, so they broke the trend over here, stay in the line, price is still going up, and you shoot up. Now, we can do that for our price over here. I'll do the last one from here, watch. Straight up here is our buy line here. And what you can see is the candles came to the line. This one came pretty close. We wicked to it. And look, when we passed over it, price went straight down. And it continued all the way down to the bottom. Now, in present day, we had a line 2. This is our trend line here for present day. As you can see, we stayed pretty accurate to the line as price was going up. Then we had our doji, which we told you signifies a decision. It doesn't mean we're going to go down. It means the market is indecisive, which can usually mean we could be on a trend line. So you can bounce from these lines or you fall under them. Now, we fell under it because there was more resistance here at 53 that I won't draw in now. There was a line here. I'll draw it in for you. I don't want to draw too many lines for you. So there was a line here where there was previous price. You can see all the price action. So we hit that, people sold, and the price came down. And now some people bought here, and you can see in the hourly that we had a little spike back up to 51, but it wasn't enough to keep us above the line. So then we came down. So what does that mean for price going forward? Well, we're going to have a new trend line that we have to follow. So let's draw that one in. So our new trend line will be going down because we're going down. So we've got 2 candles with bodies and then one with just a wick. So I'm going to go across the 2 bodies like this. Now I'll straighten it up a little bit. Now these won't be perfectly accurate if you go down to smaller time frames, but on the weekly time frame you'll be able to see them very visibly, and it'll be very good. Now I'll get rid of all the other stuff and we'll just look at Bitcoin from this perspective here. I'm going to delete these lines that I showed you already temporarily. And we'll just look at this one trend line we have here. So this is now our barrier for price to go up, and it will also be pushing price down. So this weekly candle looks like it'll stay pretty much where it is. And then I would assume we would have another weekly candle in here. And possibly a second very small one, maybe a doji here. And we would break out and we could start moving up. Now at any time, if we break this yellow line before that, we'll go up earlier, probably coming down first for a test and then go up. But I think we'll be stuck in here for a while. This will be 1 week, 2 weeks, and maybe 3 weeks we get out. So in 2 to 3 weeks, I think we could get out of this section and then we will start to go up again. Now, to go up, we have to go down. We've already gone down a lot, but we'll go up and we'll have a little down, probably hit here and start to go back up. Now we're going to go up at a faster speed than this, okay? Because this was the breakout. This is the test. The test, when we test it at the bottom here, we'll go up faster. So I can draw on a line for that. Now this is just a guess line, so this won't be very accurate and we'll fix it when we get out. So let's say we get out around here. I can draw a line going up. That would be very fast, wouldn't it? But it's very possible we could go at that speed, or we could go a little bit slower. Let's move it to a little bit slower. Now, that would put us at November, which is a little bit longer than I think it'll take us to get there. But we'll see, it'll depend where we break out. So these trend lines are very important, and a lot of people are looking at these trend lines on daily graphs and hourly graphs, but I find that's only going to give you very short information for the near future, and trying to predict Bitcoin's behavior in a few days and weeks can be profitable if you're very good at it, but it'll only be profitable for a few days and a few weeks. And if you're not looking at this area, then you're not going to be prepared for the future. So I believe we're going to have to break out of this, go up here and fail, because look at the strong resistance. You don't just go straight through these things the first time. Now, fail, and there will be a lot of sell pressure up here, and we will come back down. Now, I believe we will come back down for what's called the retest of this area. So we're going to come back down to this price, and that is where you're normally meant to buy. You buy the retest. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't trade from here to here. I'll be trading. This is a 43K to 58K is a huge percentage increase in Bitcoin, and all the alts will go up a lot more. So it's a great trading range, and you can buy, of course, please buy Bitcoin whenever you want. But I do see us failing at this resistance and coming down. And have you seen from my previous videos and the way I've studied how a bull trap works, or a bear trap, we will come straight down here and people will be scared. But when you look at it from this perspective, it looks very normal. This is what happens when you break trend. You break trend, you test, you go up, you fail at some other resistance, and you come back down and you retest. So even without using prior history of market psychology and bear traps, we can see very clearly that this is a very likely scenario. One, it's the most likely scenario to pass this resistance. On any time frame, when you're looking at any coins, this is the way you will be trading. Good traders wouldn't be buying here. Good traders will be waiting for the retest. But I feel a lot of traders have decided not to use the weekly Bitcoin graph. They use smaller time frames. I recently saw somebody put up a 5-minute Bitcoin graph. I nearly had a heart attack. You have to be an absolute expert to know what you're doing if you want to trade a 5-minute Bitcoin graph. And it's fine if you're trying to accumulate small bits of Bitcoin and improve the Bitcoin percentage during an accumulation phase. Please try. But I feel like the majority of people don't have those skills and can't even draw these lines. If you can't draw these lines, the idea to buying now is risky, because you're gonna get excited, price will go up, and you'll think we're so close to the top, we did it. But this is a huge hurdle. There's no way we're going to pass this the first time. Everybody would just have to stop selling Bitcoin. But selling Bitcoin is what you're meant to do. You have to graph and take profits. This is where you take profits. You take profits here, price will come down, and you put the profits back in this area. Now with Bitcoin, because it's so valuable, you don't have to wait to the bottom. You can buy some here and some here and some here and some here. I am thinking for the first time, I might wait for the bottom, but I will see how it starts out. I will draw in the next trend line, and maybe it comes down to here, and I will watch it follow the trend line on the weekly graph. And if it breaks over a line, so like when it breaks over here, then you go, oh, new trend, price can go up. But if it stays under these lines, as in we are now, buying something now for more than a few days would be very risky, because price is going to hit this yellow line and come down, hit this yellow line and come down. I'm going to show you that on a smaller time frame. We'll look at the day graph and we'll see how it interacted with this line. Now look, so on the day graph, I'm going to move this line up a little bit. So when you go down to these shorter time frames, you can make your lines a little more accurate. Remember, you don't need really accurate lines if you're on the longer time frames where we should be looking. So price came down, it hit the bottom of the pattern, and it went back up. Hit the bottom of the pattern and went back up. Then it reached the line. And what does it do when it hits the line? It goes back down. Now, eventually it will break out, but probably closer to the end. Now we're going back up again towards the line. Now, if you were to buy here, you're buying on a green day, and that's not a great idea, because this can turn around and come down earlier. But it's very close to the line, so I think you would be getting a very good price on Bitcoin. But if you're buying any other coins in this period of time, I would personally wait. I have absolutely no trades on at the moment. Now I have my majority of my portfolio is in coins, so they're at play, but all my trade coins are not playing. We'll be waiting to pass this line, because there's no need to add risk when you're trying to make profit. And if you buy here, what happens is we don't pass this line. Now, I don't believe that'll happen, but in many trades, if you end up buying under this line, you'll hit the yellow line, price will come down. Maybe it'll come down to here. You'll get scared, and that's when you'll sell. Because if you don't, price comes to here, you could have a week or 2 weeks before we pass the yellow line while you're scared of buying or selling. And so I find these very simple trend lines can be drawn on a weekly time frame, and they can be very advantageous and quite simple and easy to follow. You now have just one trend line. So if you are someone who doesn't draw a lot of graphs You can try this one. It's very simple. We've just got 3 channels where our support and resistance are, and just one trend line today. And until we break free, that's the only trend line we'll be following on this graph. As you're aware, I have many Bitcoin graphs with many lines, and they help me see what Bitcoin is. But these are really the lines that we should be deciding when to trade on. And once we get over this line, there will be lots of things that we can be buying that will still be very good prices. But I will be doing a lot of selling up here. So if you're not prepared to do a lot of selling up here, maybe there's no need to buy yet and wait for the retest. But remember, this is not financial advice. This is me telling you what I'm planning on doing and what I've done on every graph since I've been trading. I've been watching very similar lines like this, whether it be the 5-minute graph or the 4-hour graph, whether it be any of the alts or a low cap. I wouldn't buy in this triangle unless I wanted to trade it to the top. So if we were I could buy here and then try and sell here, but that's a very short trade and for experts. We're heading into a bull run. Short trades are just for experts. Anyone else is going to make an awful lot of money if we have the bull run. So you don't need to be messing around with this, but you can play with a very small percentage of your portfolio if you want to learn how the graph works. I would always advise trying to learn how the graph works, and trading is a way to do that. But as I've informed you, I'm using a very small percentage of my money to trade, and there's no need because it's a bull run. When we start, the prices will go up. Once we pass 58K, the very start is the fastest because we've just broken out. We'll of course have to come back down and retest. So we'll break out of here, shoot up. We'll have to come back and test it again, but we will go fast and a lot of money will be made. So I think there's 2 safe options. One, waiting till we break here and buying the retest there, but that way would make you a lot less money than if we waited for our bounce here, our second bounce. So we've only had the first one, which is the test. The retest is the one that all traders buy on all graphs, but a lot of them forget to look at the 1-week graph on Bitcoin. Anything else you'd like to add, Jade?
That was very informative. I like the way you explained that. And also it's insightful when you speak about what you're doing and what you want to do so that people get a better idea of it.
Yes. So again, I'll be selling a lot of my alts up here, okay, and taking profit from my Bitcoin. I'll be throwing away a lot of the alts because Bitcoin will be going faster. And when Bitcoin will become faster when we start. But I'll also be selling the alts because when we hit the top, Bitcoin will come down. And as we know, the alts will come down faster. So I'll get rid of 25 to 50% of every single alt that I own. And I will sell a huge percentage of Bitcoin. I will be keeping Ethereum. Ethereum is also very strong and it has approximately 20 or 24% market cap, and Bitcoin usually hovers around 50, but it's quite low now. It's maybe in the early 30s, maybe or 38 or something. I haven't been looking at it in a few days. But so those 2 I will hold big bags, and everything else will be a wait because what happens, I can show you in the bull run here just before we finish. When you change to different seasons. So here, this is the first part of the bull run. And then fast, it exploded, okay? And here, Bitcoin and Ethereum will make you an awful lot more money than the rest of the coins. But then we have this section here where the price slows down. This will be an alt season. This is when the other coins will do well. What happens is the market maker sells some coins here for profit. Yep, I've made some money. Where will I put it? In US dollar? No, that sounds silly. That's the worst coin. I'll buy some alts. So the money moves into alts and we have an alt season. So even if you're just watching a weekly graph on your own, you'll be able to see when we're going to have an alt season. But if you also watch my channel, I'll be able to tell you when we're moving from season to season. And I'll also be able to tell you when Bitcoin is going to slow down because I'll be able to see. For instance, here in January, We have possibly the biggest candle, lots of profit. Way. And we have this wick. This wick is people selling. So you can sit back and watch. And then next week you go, hey, people were selling a lot last week. Maybe I should sell. And you can sell in this week. And you get the same price pretty much. You get to sell. And then you put your money into the else. And you come back and you can buy in a nice cheap price over here. Or you can get this price here on this week. Or you could buy down on this week, just the next week. You're going to have these 20% dips quite regularly. On the weekly graph, I'll be able to point them out to you on the weekly graph when they happen. However, there will be more of them. And we'll have to look in the day graph to find some more. I'll do my best to point out all of those as well. All right. I'll tell you what I'm doing, and then you do whatever you want, but you'll be informed and educated. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Excellent. I think that went well.
Yes.
I hope you've all learned a lot. I know you can still hear me.